This episode of the Coarse Grind Podcast has been sponsored in part by Irving Cliff Brewery. If you're in Northeast Pennsylvania and you're looking for some of the finest craft beer around, look no further than the Irving Cliff Brewery, located at 2 Chapel Street in lovely historic Honesdale. With an attention to detail that feels high-end and small-town comfort, Irving Cliff Brewery does beer, and they do it very, very well. Irving Cliff Brewery, 2 Chapel Street, Honesdale, PA 18431. Now on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 38 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you as always, Sean Rossler, host, creator. How the hell are you doing today? 38, getting closer to 40. I know how that feels. Hey, you know, today's guest was born in Durham, Connecticut, to a Dominican father and an Italian mother who believed meals were serious affairs. His home life and love of cooking influenced him to pursue a career in the culinary industry, attending the Culinary Institute of America and graduating with high honors in '97 after running the kitchen at the Escoffier Room, one of the Institute's highly acclaimed restaurants. From there, our guest went on to be paired with Christian Bertrand at both Stonehenge Restaurant and Inn and Aqua, which he opened. Bertrand, in turn, referred him to a name we all know, respect, and revere, Jean-Georges Van Richten, who would become his future mentor. He served as JGV's executive sous chef at Spice Market before becoming executive chef at Yumcha in the West Village, the location that would bring acclaim to his interpretation of modern Chinese cuisine. 2005 to 2010 found him consulting in various roles and arenas before becoming loved and known to us all on Season 7 of Bravo's Top Chef, which he would later follow up on the All-Stars version of the same in honor. Well-deserved indeed. Beyond Top Chef, our guest went on to open Añejo in Hell's Kitchen, Añejo Tribeca, and Abajo, all representative of Mexican cuisine, all having a unique touch and spin to themselves, whether speakeasy street food or straight-up traditional taste. Present day, you can find him on the West Coast, ramping up to do some big, big things as yet to be announced. Dun dun dun. Cookbooks, TV, radio, you name it, the man has done it. And while I'm sure he's done other ones, I'm proud, admittedly a little nervous, and excited to add podcast to the list. Culinarily passionate and expressive like no other. I could not be more stoked to have him here, so let's get this rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, my guest today, Season 7 chef testing on Top Chef, the chef genius behind Añejo, Añejo Tribeca, and Abajo, and one of the most passionate chef artists and human beings I've ever had the joy of watching and now talking to, Chef Angelo Sosa. Chef Angelo Sosa, welcome to the program, sir. So glad to have you. How are you doing today?
Sean, I'm amazing. Thank you for having me on.
You are amazing. Humble, too, but you are definitely amazing. I was reminded of this from the days of Top Chef to recently watching your knife fight battle with, the name eludes me, but holy shit, if anyone ever got an award for intensity coming into a building, that's you all day. That is you all day.
There was no need to contain it. It was like coffee percolating in the morning.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So, again, I'm super honored to have you. For those new to the program, for those tuning in again and have poor short-term memories like myself, 3 sections of questions: starters, mains, afters. Starters, where the chef artist is from; mains, where they're at; and afters, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one's ever been injured in 38 episodes. So without further ado, Chef Angelo Sosa, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
Sure. So you just went right at it, huh?
I'm going right at it, man.
super. Amazing. So yeah, first of all, I'm half Dominican, half Italian. My father grew up in the Dominican Republic, and so my father did all the cooking at home. My mother cooked mainly special occasions. She wasn't the greatest of cooks, but I guess I got used to her bad cooking and love it to this day. But my father, as I said, did all the cooking. You know, my childhood was very food-centric, was all about, my dad was always about providing for the home. And, we were in the gardens on the weekends and tilling the garden, waking up at 6 in the morning and picking the fruits, the vegetables, and just preparing, every Saturday preparing for our family feast on Sunday. So our family feast typically consisted of rice, beans, obviously in a Latin home. And then we would make, my thing, when I was a child, I was like the master tostones maker. I would make green, the green fried bananas, and that was my thing. So a typical Sunday meal for me was rice, beans, tostones, avocado, bacalao, which is cod. But my parents were really cool. They were always about, educating us in every sensibility. My lunches didn't consist of bologna and cheese or peanut butter and jelly. They were like pickled pig's feet, cow's tongue sandwich, like just crazy esoteric stuff that no kid wants to eat, but they chose to serve that to me.
Yeah, I don't think for a second I imagined bologna and cheese was in your childhood repertoire. I probably would have put good money on that too. I'm not gonna lie. I think I knew that. So based on that, obviously looking at the culinary dynamo powerhouse you are today, I'm not thinking you were that picky as an eater growing up.
You know what's crazy, Sean? I wasn't picky, but I definitely got tired of the olive loaf and chicken liver sandwiches. So it was really funny because when my mom wanted to, I grew up in a family there was 9 of us, right? And when she was like, okay, who wants to come shopping with me? It was always me. Like, I literally would just run to the car. And when we went to whether it was like ShopRite or whatever that store that was, and I would run in the store and I would go straight for the cookie aisle and I would just down packages of cookies. So in my household, we didn't have the luxury of Oreo cookies or chocolate chip cookies. And so to say that I was picky, I think I was the least bit picky, especially when it came to junk food.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I was restricted as well. Maybe not because of such a diverse menu, but believe me, when the floodgates came down and there was an opportunity for anything sweet, I mean, they came down and they came down hard. So no question. Are there foods that you look back to with a nostalgic, almost pang in your heart? I mean, obviously you're in a business where you can recreate some of those memories, but are there still tastes and sensations that you miss with just a nostalgic pain in your heart?
Yeah, I think the one answer is my Tia Carmen's cooking. I mean, just in general, my Tia Carmen really was, the essence of why I am who I am as a chef today. She just taught me the heart, the soul, the passion of cooking, and to really cook to make a difference, and that people could taste that soul in your cooking. So as crazy as I might come across on Knife Fight or whatever, at the end of the day, whatever techniques I use, you could say, wow, there's a lot of heart behind the food. So it's I just go back to my Tia Carmen's cooking of, even if it was that rice and beans, but it just wasn't rice and beans. It was something that would just transport you. So it was just her cooking, the aromas that emanated from 8 years old. I could still remember those aromas so clearly. The bay leaf, the vinegar, the cumin, the cilantro in the air, and it just wasn't cilantro. It was just embedded with passion and love. So it was just mainly her cooking.
See, and that's where I go for. So many times I ask that question and it's I miss a chocolate cake or some random shit like that. That is so specific and so focused on a childhood memory, and that's exactly what I'm gunning for with that. Just that you can remember those individual facets to it. Obviously, that comes through. And, passionate, I don't think there's a word that more readily describes you. Be it, I've only had the honor to date to be in touch with your culinary creations via the television. But even there, you can see that come through. You can see that it started from, 2 cells. I think those 2 cells were thinking about, hey, what can we do with food? And make it amazing. So that's cool to hear. Is it safe to say then, based on that childhood nostalgia food memory, that your Tia Carmen would be your greatest culinary influence, hands down?
Yeah, hands down. There's just something, Sean, the way that I look at it is this, is she passed on, she died over 20 years ago, and, I carry her legacy in everything that I do. It's just to be, for me, it's about honoring my creator, honoring, that legacy, taking that baton and carrying it, with fire and passion and love. And that's what I do, yeah, I mean, hands down, it's my Tia Carmen, who is my greatest inspiration.
Awesome. And So you have this inspiration, and you had this inspiration early on, clearly, that left such a strong impression on you. You graduated with high honors from CIA in '97, correct?
That is correct.
That is correct. And before that, when was the moment that you looked at food and said, this isn't just something I love. This isn't just something that's important to me. This is something I want to live. Yeah. Was there a moment? Was there a spark?
So I'm going to answer it this way. So I'm naturally a very competitive person. Growing up, I always thought I was going to be like a professional baseball player. I was obsessed with baseball. It was, prior to cooking, that's all I did and wanted to do. But just one day, I think I was so funny. When I was maybe 16 or 17 in high school, I fell out of love with baseball, and I literally just called an end to it, and I just said, I'm done. And in that moment, I said, I want to be one of the greatest chefs in the world, and I will do whatever it takes. I will be relentless. I will take whatever sacrifices it takes, and I will become, either I will work alongside great chefs, or I will become a great chef. So that was my life goal when I was, right out of high school. I was very focused. I wasn't a party kid. I was, if I had to work 6 days, I was working 7 days. If I had to work 14 hours, I'd work 16 hours. It was food. It was nothing, there was no other room for anything else.
My God. And this is not me blowing smoke up your ass or anything, but that's the kind of biography that seeing you compete the way that you do is absolutely writing on the page. And I've never been so happy to see baseball lose out to somebody. Lose out to you cooking. I'm glad baseball suffered that. I'm not going to lie. I think you would have been great. I think you would have been a great player. I'm glad you stuck with the culinary side of things. Call me selfish. Call me selfish. So that brings you forward to today. Now, stint upon stint upon stint, Christian Bertrand, Jean-Georges Von Richten, the Stay on Top Chef, the Top Chef Masters appearance, which I was glad to see, deservedly so, brings us fast forwarding to today. Here we are. Cookbooks, TV, radio. You're doing all podcasts. Poor little podcast. Thank you, by the way. When you're doing your day-to-day as intensely as you do it, where do you draw your inspiration? In the here and now, where do you pull from to get the ideas that are in your head? And they are numerous from everything I've seen. Where do you pull from?
Well, wow, that's an awesome question, and I love this conversation. So should I put it up? Let me put it this way. The bottom line is, I was solely put on this earth to use food as a conduit, to a greater message. I am a chef. I'm a chef at heart. I will live and die as a chef, but I'm also somebody who's very passionate about people. And I think for me, food is the conduit of connecting with myself, connecting with people, showing emotion, showing passion, connecting with nature, bringing people to the table to understand perspective. And I think food is beautiful, first of all. And for me, I'm very super connected to my spirituality. I'm somebody, connected to my creator, connected to nature, connected to really just being at peace and being able to see from a place of clarity, being aware of if I'm meditating at an ocean, listening to those waves crash or that ocean and just being wow, how could I translate that into sense of that beauty of that noise and that that's just how I am and how I'm wired and how I found beauty in nature. So really I guess what I'm just trying to say is just connecting with, I think, nature, with my creator, with my faith, and just being in that space of just being able to see and being able to hear is where I find inspiration. And I know that's somewhat cryptic. Even something as simple as hearing a fire, we have if we do a bonfire, just hearing the crackling of fire, I think that's totally inspiring. Just that noise has a certain vibration, and I don't know, things like that really fuel me and fire me.
Yeah, man. I don't think that's cryptic at all. I think that is about as appropriate an answer as I could have predicted you would deliver. And so you are almost inspirationally, if food and dishes can be a la minute, you are inspirationally a la minute, in the moment. It just strikes you. And that's the I'm trying to think back, and really one thing I've always done with the show is I've stayed away from referencing the TV appearances. We all know that you've done them. I like to speak about the chef as person, as story, as artist. But the knife fight dish where you wrapped the table in plastic, what was that again? I mean, that struck me as, A, where the hell did it come from? B, how did he think of that? And I can just imagine something like a fire or something beautiful like that inspiring you to be that direct.
So I think too is some of the premise of my cooking is like, okay, so like I'm all about self-development. I'm all about like, who I was a year ago, who I was a week ago, who I was 5 years ago it's evolving. If we're not evolving, you might as well just bury yourself because it's stagnant.
I love it.
It's just death. So, if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not burning, putting your butt in the fire, then what are you doing with your life? So, for me, it's just like, okay, I have to risk it. I have to do something bold enough that I've never done before, but that, people like, how many times in your life do you get to stand, cook for that type of panel of people? So like, why not just get amazing feedback from brilliance? So why not put myself out there, take a leap of faith and see, and get feedback so that I could grow. So that's how I look at this, is that whether I succeed or, if it works or doesn't work, or, what's working, what's not working, I'm growing either way, so, right. I win, so that's how I cook, there's nothing to lose.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone, if you asked them, would say, oh, well, yes, we have to constantly change or else we would, be passed by. But how many people actually live it? How many people actually do it? Which, again, take it back to season 7, up to now on Knife Fight, seeing your face reminding me, hey, I got to get this lightning rod on the show because he's doing things that are amazing and in a way that nobody else does. Nobody else does. I don't think anybody else that I know of culinarily, which probably isn't a lot, but you know what? I have a podcast that deals with cooking, so a couple. Nobody is as much a moving target, figuratively, as you. And it's really cool to watch. Super cool. And, being connected to you on Facebook, the spirituality, all that comes through too. And it doesn't come through in, as I'm sure you know, like it can come across as a very phony, played off way, or it can come across as sincere. And that's the other adjective I'd use in my interactions to date, sincere. Everything you do is both sincere and inspired that I've seen. And I've never eaten your cooking yet. I plan to change that someday, I promise you though. I promise you.
Okay.
That'll change. When we're looking at this career, inspired as it is, energetic as it is, and creation after creation, when you look back, is there one creation that sticks out as the greatest thing you've ever done?
So when you say creation, I mean anything specific, like a dish, or just creation at all?
We can, you know what? With you, I'm going to step away from dish and just say career-wise. So it could be institution. It could be anything. But a dish is okay, too.
So that's a deep question. Well, let's just talk about a dish because we're a Knife Fight. So I have to say that was, for me, that was hands down one of the greatest moments in definitely top 5 in my career, just being on Knife Fight. I just love, I'm somebody very in tune with energy and frequencies, and I just thought, cooking under that, I love pressure. I mean, you could tie me up, whatever, put me in a jacket, like I'll find a way to get out. Like I'll still cook an amazing dish no matter what. But that dish, I think that white chocolate with the burnt vegetable,
yes.
Downright, I think that's majestic, and I think it's sick. I think it's just luscious and sexy, and it's kind of like, in regard, yes, why would, many chefs say, why wouldn't you just leave a sea urchin by itself in its simplicity? Yes, 100% I agree with that. But I also think there's a way to accentuate the beauty of that, and, the beauty of the oceanic flavors of that beautiful sea urchin. And it's almost as if it was taking a bubble bath in this beautiful white chocolate, the sweetness of the white chocolate, accentuating the uni and the butteriness of the uni. And just becoming very voluptuous experience with the burnt vegetables. Like that burntness was like, it acted as a platform for that uni to really shine. So everything that I do is, in that dish it was all giant. It was about nothing else. But I thought it was just like, a sick dish, bottom line.
Yeah, oh my God, absolutely. And I mean, it has stuck with me. I'm watching it on demand just because nothing on TV holds my attention, but I've watched that season of Knife Fight now easily 5-6 times through, just because it's fun. It's like, I know what's going to happen. It's like watching Game of Thrones. You know who's going to die, but it really doesn't matter to you at that point. But you mentioned the whole burnt concept, and the next question in the string of questions deals with what you as professional, as artist, as chef, would see to be the next big thing. And I have to sidestep and ask you, so burnt is becoming more and more of a thing culinarily. Is it not, or am I speaking from the layperson point of view?
Burning things?
Yes. It seems like it's getting more attention than it did.
Well, let me put it this way. I think more chefs are cooking more with the flavor profile in mind, right? The sweet, the sour, the salty, the earthy, the smoky. I think more chefs are really adopting this style of cooking philosophy.
Okay.
So I think the burnt whole concept falls right to that. Yep.
Okay, cool. So with that cleared up for me, and I appreciate that. With that cleared up, looking at cooking, culinary, Epicurean, system wide, do you see a next big thing coming down the pipe?
Well,
whether or not you'd adopt it is a totally different story. But
yeah, what I'm going to say is so we're all obviously familiar with the whole farm to table. That's already old school, and but this is what I think. It's very interesting. Is all of these I find it super interesting because. I think something super important is we as a chef, chefs are very passionate, very, they're very connected to the process, to the respecting the animal. And I'm just wondering, like, what big time chef is going to open up, you see all these meat concepts and it's baked bacon, pork belly, barbecue, it's just never ending of, these chefs just doing these bacon concepts or barbecue concepts or steak concepts, but what chef is going to take it to the next degree of opening like a vegetarian concept, vegetarian vegan concept, like big name chef, whether that's, Omar Vitale, Michael Simon, Bobby Flay. Like, I think that would be pretty, because take into consideration the environment of like the consumption of, water, land, that it takes to even produce a cow, produce the meat, the carbon print and all that good stuff. Like, what chef is going to be bold enough to do that? Like, I think that would be pretty darn, I could see a Tom Colicchio doing something like that. I think that would speak volumes, but I think that would be amazing. So in regards to trending, I would say a vegan or vegetarian fast food concept.
Yeah, I think like that. Didn't Ilan just do Ramen Hood, vegan ramen joint?
Oh my Lord. I don't know.
I'm almost positive. Ramen Hood out in Cali. I think it was.
Was it vegan? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm talking about like drive-through window.
Oh, like
the whole.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that hasn't. Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about a little up, whatever restaurant corner space that looks dope. Like, I'm talking about like a drive-through window. Like, I think that would be super dope. Like, I think that would take some cojones to do that.
Sure. Like,
I could see a Danny Myers doing that. Like, I think that'd be like mind-blowing.
I don't know. I could see an Angelo Sosa doing that, but.
100%. I want to do.
Right on. Is there something going on right now culinarily that you've had enough of? You've seen it; it's had its day. I mean, I know you said that farm to table is old, but is there something just in general as a trend you're just sick of seeing?
What am I sick of seeing? My Lord. Not honestly, not. It's just so interesting. I don't know. I live in California now in San Diego, and I'm just so immersed in the whole farm and farm to table concept. And when I said that it was old, it's like it's been done, and the whole nation now like consuming it, which I think is just amazing, and I love it and adore it. Is there something like? I mean, I don't want to. Whatever. Molecular is cool, and I think there's a place for it. But I think just integration of, in all honesty, Sean, no, there's nothing that I think is I'm just tired of. But like, I just think we just gotta like be up to date of like, we gotta be thinking about our future, the future of this planet. Like, I think it's time that we just put a halt to our egos and just be like coming up with concepts that are going to benefit this planet. And that's the bottom line. So to be honest with you, there's nothing that I'm tired of, but I think it's just time for chefs to take that stand and be aware of this world and this planet, and to make food sexy that are going to benefit this planet, and benefit the kids in our future. That's the only thing that I advocate.
I love that. So the trend is selfish culinary. Get more into thinking about the big picture, thinking about the sustainability. So again, that's about as at peace an answer as I've ever heard. So the persona continues. Career-wise, what's next on your plate? Like, what are you up to next? Now I know we talked caveat. Chef Angelo and I spoke before the episode, and there's something in the works that I can't say anything about, so I'm not going to. I actually don't even know what it is because he wouldn't tell me because he knows I'm garbage at keeping a secret. But so there is something in the works for you.
Yeah, it's huge. In fact, I think it's one of these things. Being honored and blessed enough to work for people like Jean-Georges and Alain Ducasse and Christian Bertrand. Being blessed and fortunate. I think my career's it's been a journey. It's been a lot of lessons, a lot of great teachings, and I think this time is like the new renditions of. I'm trying to think of a group. I don't want to say the Backstreet Boys coming back.
Oh no!
It's a new unveiling. It's something really major. I think on a very global scale. So I'm pretty Obviously, food is the conduit. Food is my passion. Food is my love. But how do I address serious global issues that we could really impact people and inspire and empower people to use food as that conduit? So don't mean to be cryptic.
No.
I'd be more than happy to share off air. But yeah, and I'll be happy to share on air when it does launch. But I'm just so passionate, and this is a concept that I'm going to burn the boat and fight for that island.
I'm going to tell you something right now, Chef. When you are ready to drop it, I will create the first ever in the history of the show, special sub-episode just for you to announce that. It would be my honor.
Super.
It would be my honor. All right, cool, man. So those are starters. Those are mains. So we know where you came from. We know where you're at, potentially where you're going, if cryptically so. But we'll take that for now. It's better than nothing. The afters, the bit more off the cuff, a little outlandish questions. Again, no one's ever been injured in 37 episodes, but I can't make any promises. So without further ado, sir, I'm standing in your kitchen, and you can pick, whether it's professionally or at home, what music do I hear? What music do you like to just get down to?
It depends on the night, but I'd probably say let's listen to some Dominican salsa, Juan Luis Guerra. Yeah, I think that would be pumping.
All right, Dominican salsa pumping, love it. How is your mouth in the kitchen? This is always a fun question to ask because I've had more surprises than not. If you use the movie rating scale G all the way through X, what would you rate yourself as, sir?
Well, let me answer it this way. Being a business owner with all the labor laws, I think it's a G.
It's a G. Very good. Now, that's cool. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So you've heard it here too, folks. Chef Angelo Sosa is a straight-up G. There you go. And movie rating and otherwise. All right, you're going to be stranded on a deserted island, and you can only take 3 foods or food items with you. What would they be and why?
Wow. Okay. Food items.
Yep. So it could be condiment. It could be, a special apparatus. You pick.
Ooh. Okay. Wow. Oh my God. I would take some. Well, no, it had fish there. Okay. I'd probably take a smoker. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why. I'll take a smoker because I'm obsessed with smoked fish, like smoked pickled fish. So I'd take some Japanese vinegar, and I'd take some sriracha as well, and a pair of chopsticks. I would just go spear fishing, catch the fish, smoke it, smoke it, pickle that puppy, and just I would even ferment it. I love fermented things. I'd ferment the fish, then pickle it, and then just hit it with a little sriracha. Call it a day.
That's got to be the closest to a plated dish I've ever had as an answer for that question. By the way, that's right there, right where it needs to be. Is there a food or a dish that still maybe intimidates you? Like when you make it, do you still get a little cold and clammy in the hands?
Wow. Cold and clammy in the hands.
And I mean, given your career, this is one you could say, no, Sean, there's not. I'd kick its ass.
Yeah, Sean, I'll tell you what I'm horrific at. I'm horrific at making pancakes. I'll just buy the box on that one.
Really?
I'm for some reason I just can't do it right.
Oh my God, I love it. I feel better about myself right now. One of the few jobs I've had in the industry was, cooking breakfast, short order breakfast, and pancakes is in my repertoire. So I can say, hey, you know what, kids? Yeah, it might just be pancakes, but you know who can't do them? Angelo Sosa. There you go. Hey, have you had a chance to read Melanie Denea's My Last Supper or The Next Course?
No.
Okay, so it's a coffee table book, and it's actually what this interview format was based on. And it's 50 famous chefs in each volume. Marco Pierre White was on the cover of the second one. I can't think of who was on the first one. But anyway, they asked the same 5 questions centered around what I understand now to be a very popular question in culinary circles. It's going to be your last meal, last supper. Who would be there? What would you eat? And what would you drink?
Last supper. Who would be there?
Yep.
Who would be there? I'll keep it simple. The people I love. My family, my mother would be there. Susan, my son Jacob would be there. My dad would be there. I would say, honestly, just super close family. It doesn't need to be anybody. Super close family. What would we eat? Honestly, we just eat straight up Pepe's Pizza from New Haven, Connecticut.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it would be Pepe's Pizza and Pepe's Pizza. What would they drink? They could drink whatever they want.
Love it.
Just keep it simple. Keep it simple.
I love it. I love the simplicity. And speaking of simplicity, the last question, the most simple but the most complex to some, what is food to you in a single word?
Food is life, and food brings life.
Life, because it is and it brings.
Yeah.
I love it. And it does. I couldn't agree with you more. And, obviously, through your enthusiasm, through your inspiration, every plate brings, more life to food than it certainly comes to you with. So, man, I love it. Life it is, sir. And
right.
I'm sad to say that brings us to the end of the interview. Yeah. I hope you had at least a passable time.
Yeah, it was amazing. Right, I love your energy. Yeah, thank you. It was super. Thank you so much.
Much appreciated. No, thank you very much. And as far as plugs go, we're going to keep it on the mum and give you a special little 10-minute pop here down the line. Is that a fair deal?
100%.
Any other cookbook media appearances coming up you want me to pop out there?
For now, we'll keep everything on the DL, and then we'll shoot back and we'll recap. How about that one?
I love it. The recap, the 38.5 episode. That'll be
exactly.
All right. Well, again, Chef Angelo Sosa, it has been an absolute honor, and I am still fan-stricken. So thank you very, very much, sir, for being on the show.
Super, Sean. Thank you.
You got it, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 38 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. My producer, as always, has been Johnny Leland Robinson, the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out his podcast, Cinematic Pig's Feet, and be sure to check his movie out, soon to be in production, The Second Judgment. Next episode will be number 39. Be sure to tune in. It'll be a winner.